Do you intend to change job in the near future? If yes, are you maybe interested in understanding what the top performers do, how they can start, understand the job much faster than the rest, and get quicker, better results? If yes, I'm going to share with you 3 tips that will definitely set you in the top 5% if you apply them correctly. Imagine this. We are the first of the month and a new guy comes into the village. We all know, because we've been informed, that this new guy is going to bring us to a high mountain. So the person comes, looks for the city center, goes to the city center, gets some information. First day, what's the weather forecast? Second day, can I maybe have a map of the surroundings? And a couple of days later, the person brings all the team together and says, we are going to climb this mountain. Now, leave me please some time because I need to understand from which direction we need to go, north, south, whatever, to go to that top of the mountain. And several days and weeks just continue until that person finally gathers enough information to start the trip. Once there, we still need some more information, and maybe someday we'll arrive to the top of that mountain. Now imagine a parallel situation. A person comes, has already the weather forecast, knows already which mountain to climb, has enough information about whom he should count on, have maybe already some methodology, maybe also have some speech, some explanation about what makes this trip important for the people around them, and so on and so forth. In these imaginary situations, you can see that the first leader may have some trouble to first get to the results, second to engage the team, versus the second one who knows where he or she wants to bring the team, why she or he wants to bring them there, and has already some level of information allowing her or him to start in good conditions. This is obviously an exaggerated situation, or not. When you take a look at job mobility, many people, I believe the majority, I may be wrong, don't plan that much. They think that T0, the first day, is when they are officially in the job. And I'm going to share with you 3 major things that you can do to really make a difference and get faster results. And you will see it's not just about fast, it's also better result. And the first one is about stakeholders. Before you start, you can already ask yourself, who are my stakeholders? Now, don't tell me, oh, it's easy. It's my team and my boss. That's the beginning of the story. What else? Functional guys. Yes. What else? Support functions. Yes. What else? Now, you're going to enter into more tricky aspects. And as I speak, if you are intending to change, or even if you have just changed, maybe you can start and do the exercise by yourself. Whatever processes you are running, you may end up with some people validating key parts of this process that are not in the org chart that may be important. For example, if you are investing and you need the validation for the capital expenditure, CAPEX, you may need to discuss, to present some dossier to that person. Who is that person? Is it important that you know her or him in advance? What else? Social partners. What else? Customers, suppliers, other partners, maybe some contractors. And you can see that all these things can be anticipated. You don't need day one. And actually, my recommendation is for you not to wait for day one, not to map the whole stakeholder. This is probably impossible unless you have really somebody who can do this for you. But at least get the major elements, people already identified. Now that you have this list, that by the way will get enriched with your experience, with the discussions that you may have, you will start to see which ones are the most important, which ones need maybe to be seen up front or at least fast enough. These are your priority 0 before or priority 1 as soon as you get into the job. You may also identify some other people, which are the ones that will be trustworthy, that will be the ones you will discuss with, maybe to help you start in good conditions. This could be some people within your team that are known for being trustworthy, that are maybe the leaders of their area, that can be as well the person that you're replacing, that can be your boss, that can be some other people who will provide you with valuable information, including who the stakeholders are. Once you have this, my recommendation is that for these key stakeholders, and in the key stakeholders, I would systematically put at least your direct team. You want to have some information. Why? I'm not talking about spying. I'm talking about understanding the context in which you are. For example, imagine that you join a team. You don't know it, but part of your team members, they are directly reporting to you, were initially in your position. They've been downgraded for whatever reason. You'd better know this. Imagine as well that you have a colleague that is not part of your team, but with whom you have to work for whatever reason. And you are trying to tell this person, oh, you know, I've taken the situation, this department, and I can tell you it's a real mess. You have no idea how bad the situation is. If that person was the former leader of that department, I'm telling you, you're basically punching him in the face without knowing it. And then you have no idea, but that person is not very helpful all along the way. Don't be naive and try to capture all this kind of information to avoid silly mistakes that could have been anticipated by some basic research. Try and do your homework. Identify these stakeholders. Try to get some relevant information. I'm not talking about something that would require the FBI or whoever, but just the basic things that can be available and that can be of value for you to start in good conditions. Number 2, what do you need to learn? This is also important to anticipate and ask yourself, what do I need to learn to do my job properly? For example, if you're taking a department that is doing a different activity from what you're used to do or manage or supervise, you probably have to get at least some level of information of what it is about. Let's say you're in an industry and you go to another industry. You'd better, and you'll find probably lots of resources on internet, on books, libraries, whatever, to get at least some basics about how that whatever topic is done, performed, designed, and so on. The second thing is that you also want to understand the overall situation, especially if you take higher leadership roles. You may want to understand the overall industry. Who are the competitors? What's the story of this industry? What's the social context? What's the cultural context you are entering into? All these elements need first to be identified. Okay, I need to understand the culture, the technology, the people, the cultural aspect. Can it be because you're changing country, or because you're just changing industry, or you're changing company? All these elements, try to list them and then build a plan to make this knowledge yours. Third topic, planning. You want to make sure that your first days are defined by you, not by the logical flow of things happening to you. Let's say that you start on Monday, the 1st of whatever month. what do you want to do with your day, and it's your choice. You may not master exactly in the beginning if you have to get a badge or a computer or something, but normally if you're in normal companies and if you can rely on some people, you can get most of this sorted out earlier by calling whoever is already in the job and asking them to take care of some of the administrative parts, so at least that you have to minimize them. Then what do you do with the rest? Are you going to shake hands of everybody? It can be a sign, for example, of I do care about people and this is important for me. Are you going to meet your key stakeholders? Are you going to email all your customers to tell them you guys are so important that I email you day one, or even visit them? Whatever. This is your choice, but remember that what you do day one can have a significant impact because people know that this is what you have decided to do most of the time. What you don't do the first day or the first days is also a signal. Let's say that you care about safety and you have no activity, no message, nothing expressing to your team that you care about safety. You're not starting in good conditions. You see what I mean? So planning is key. What you in particular need to plan, and this you don't need to wait for the T0, your first day, is when are you going to meet your stakeholders? Remember, this is the first one about stakeholders. So you'd better call the guys before. Hi, my name is John. I'm very pleased to meet you, Mary. I know that in my future work you will be an important stakeholder. I'd be pleased to meet you, to get your advice, to also get to know each other so that we can collaborate in the best possible way in the future. Now, John, when he needs Mary after a couple of weeks, Mary will be pleased to help him. Why? Because John has already introduced himself. They may have already taken some coffees together and so on. And when the time is needed for a collaboration, the ground is well set. What else do you need to plan? Point number 2, trainings. You know, most of the people after a certain period of time will have enough basic knowledge to manage their business. Now, the ones who are interested in getting more competent, my recommendation is to do it in the first few days. Why? Because in the first few days, everybody will understand that you're not fully ready, that you are not yet operational. That's the best moment to plan a full day with a technical person, spending the day with her or with him so that you can learn the métier, or spend the whole week at a supplier or at a customer to understand the business from a customer standpoint. Can you imagine the impact that you can do to yourself in terms of knowledge, in terms of signaling to all the community, guys, this is so important that I'm spending 1 week there, and so on. And this you can do in the beginning because you most of the time can be useless for a limited number of days or weeks. You can't do that after a certain period of time. So my recommendation, top urgencies, plan them and put them in the right sequence. Stakeholders, appropriate trainings, knowing that both of them, trainings and stakeholders, can be anticipated for a big part of them. You are now ready to start and boost your ramp up just because you've done your homeworks and you've done them much before the rest. Now, can you imagine in such conditions, after a couple of weeks, you're already completely set. You know all the stakeholders. You have avoided major mistakes of complaining to the guy who was your predecessor and telling how the mess you have to manage now is completely unacceptable. Avoiding all this will allow you to start and get much faster results. If you want to know more about career development, I have developed a training called Boost Your Career and Enjoy a Happy and Successful Professional Life that I recommend to anybody willing to further develop, to think in a much smarter way how to develop your career. You don't need to be smart, you just need to apply smart processes. I'm sharing with you these good practices. You can get the link down here in the description, and with this link you'll be able to have a special discount allowing you to learn lots of things that you may learn by yourself after a couple of decades, or that you can just copy from what I've learned, from what I've experienced. And myself, I've either made the mistakes before or learned from others. In any case, you're going to compress your learning time and get much faster results. Enjoy!